welcome Mr. Anil Sahani, CHRO, Art Housing Finance India, a dynamic, forward-thinking and hands-on human resource professional focused on human capital, organizational development, operations, skilled at driving strategies and building solutions. A huge round of applause, please. Mr. Furqan Warsi, partner at Ernst & Young, a dedicated individual in driving transformative learning and development initiative in the professional realm. He brings a rich background in the dynamic world of training and skill development. A huge round of applause, please. Mr. Kapil Bohra, Regional Business Head at AU Bank. He carries with him 18 plus years of experience in business banking, agri-banking, mid-corporate across NCR, Haryana, Punjab, and small stint at Bangalore and Mysore. A learned leader, a very warm welcome. Huge round of applause. Mr. Ramakrishna Vyamajala, CHRO at HomeFirst Finance Company. Mr. Ramakrishna currently heads the HR function for one of the fastest growing housing finance companies in the country. He has over 18 plus years of experience in human resource, reward and recognition, and compensation benefits. A huge round of applause, please. A very warm welcome. Ms. Sheetal Jerath Sharma, Associate Director, People and Culture at Brand Thornton Bharat, a passionate change enthusiast who believes in creating a winning culture of entrepreneurship and experiential learning for its employees aligned to the sustainability goals. A huge round of applause, please. Ms. Kanika Rehal, ex-Director, Union Bank of Switzerland. Ms. Kanika, the founder and Chief Consultant at Kanika Consulting and Director and ex-Director of Union Bank of Switzerland. As a seasoned industry leader from the banking industry with a global BFSI industry exposure and having worked with Fortune 500 companies, we are elated to have her. A very warm welcome. Huge round of applause. Over to the moderator of the session, Mr. Ramakrishna. I now request our students to present the sapling to our guest. First of all, Mr. Manu Sharma, Zonal Head-Retail. I request Sweetie to welcome Mr. Manu with the sapling. Huge round of applause, please. Mr. Anil Sahani. A very warm welcome, sir. Mr. Furqan Warsi. Mr. Kapil Bohra. Mr. Ramakrishna. Ms. Sheetal Sharma. And Ms. Kanika Rehal. Now over to the moderator of the session.
Audible? Are we audible at the back?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I think a lot has been said about the potential of India in terms of what is it that we can deliver as a country. What is a lot that is available from, nothing can stop us from growing. We'll become the third largest economy. We will be unstoppable, irrespective of whatever the results of the election will be. We just hope so. But But yeah, I think there's so much talk about India, right, and the entire globe. So what we're going to do today, we try and, I think, try and look at one aspect of that growth, which is the skilled labor, availability of skilled labor. One of the biggest pillars of that growth will be the financial services sector, and all of us coming from that sector, we try and kind of, try and, as much as possible, pull out some of the aspects and the nuances of building skill in the financial services sector. If you have to grow at that rate, I mean, you need so much more money. Whatever is the GDP that we are talking about, the numbers that we are talking about, the trillions that we are talking about, all of that money is coming from the financial services sector, whether it is working capital, whether it is the loans, whether it is the savings, whether it is investments, whatever you can talk about. Financial services will be the backbone of growth that the country is going to see, and therefore it is very critical that we have the right set of people with the right skill sets in the organizations that we all represent, and many more organizations that are out there in the financial services space. So, without further ado, let me start with Manu. If I can take the first, ask you the first one. We're not talking about this growth, right, Vision 2047 and all of that. What do you think are those essential skills? I think the top of the mind skills that you have that will be critical as we gear up for 2047. I think some of it will be very relevant to the kids out here to develop and come out with.
Thank you so much. So, if I talk of the skills that are required to make India a developed nation, so to say, and that is what this is all about. India Vision, because it marks the 100th year of India's independence, and by that time we want to be a developed nation. And naturally, as a developed nation has everything kind of developed, and everything is running in a full throttle, and it is at the optimal speed. And one of the most important things that and this is not only specific to BFSI domain. So I represent the banking institution. So my point is that change is happening across. The combination of skills that will be required to kind of keep pace with the change that is happening. Change हमेशा से होता है. So change had been happening for a long time. The difference today is the pace of change. The pace of change is at a breakneck speed. But while we are speaking, things are changing. It is so fast that within an organization also, at times, we kind of, at times are at a lag in terms of, अच्छा ये चीज़ है. So I think the skill sets naturally, apart from the softer skills, जो मैं हमेशा से कहता हूँ that whichever industry, whichever role you may be looking at, कुछ चीजें जो होती हैं they are common for all. It is not specifically to any industry or domain. So that is naturally you need to have a softer skill. But I think that softer skill में मेरे को दो ही चीज समझ में आती है, and that is first discipline, and number two is I would say tenacity in terms of being able to ensure that whenever you fall, you have to rise up again. So that that thing is going to be very very important. So confidence है हम लोग का, that is what is important, because हम लोग बात तो कुछ भी कर सकते हैं कि हम लोगों को कहाँ क्या करना है, but then finally I would want each one of you young guys that confidence जो होता है ना, the ultimate role of any goal of any education, कहीं से भी आप पढ़ लो, वो ये है that how confident you are in terms of overall your demeanor, your personality, and number two is of course your skills. Banking domain में if I talk of, that remains one of the, because customer centric role. हमारे यहाँ पे banking में if I talk of, there are only broadly I would say there are three things. One is naturally what we call as sales, or so to say जो हमारा front office होता है. Backend पे हमारा ये business analytics of course, because humongous data that banking has, banking industry has. उस डेटा का हमें करना क्या है? How do we convert it to a meaningful information? और हम चेंज क्यों हो रहे हैं? ये चेंज जितना नहीं हो रहा है, ये चेंज इसलिए हो रहा है because customer is changing. इसलिए बैंक्स को भी चेंज करना पड़ रहा है. That's the precise reason why we are changing. तो पहले कस्टमर कहता था बैंक से, but expectation from a bank was मेरा money safe रहे, secure रहे. अभी expectation हो गया है, how can you do it? Kind of what is it that you can do to me? Fast कैसे कर सकते हो आप दूसरे से? Other thing is that अब वो भी हो गया, उसके बाद उन्होंने कहा कि भाई you should know what I want. Now you should, kind of think about me. So अब हाल ये है that from a level where it was a basic transaction, banking meant simple, we accept deposits, we give loans, and naturally we earn some fee in between. So it's an intermediary between any I would say it's an intermediary to convert any transaction, economic transaction. तो बैंकिंग में आप लोगों का जो फिट होता है वो नंबर 1 is naturally the skill set, basic skill set है जिसमें कि bottom of the pyramid I would say वहाँ पर से शुरू होता है. Trades मैंने आपको बताई दिए. Banking is just about common sense. It is all about that basic discipline, ethics that is required. ऊपर वाले लेवल पर then finally हम लोगों को BIU डिपार्टमेंट होता है, analytics. What do we do with that data? तो business analytics है. We have lot of things going into data driven, data centric, machine learning. Lot of artificial intelligence has creeped in. And number third is naturally we have to look at the angles where cyber security, because banks are very prone to cyber attacks. So हम लोग while we are moving towards digitization and digitalization in terms of processes etc. But then finally we have to be very sure that the money that the customer is keeping with us is safe. So I think that the lot of opportunities are there. इसमें underwriters हो गए. If I talk of people who are in finance, तो हमारे पास underwriters जो हैं वो underwrite loans. So they are the ones जहाँ पर हम लोग का plethora of opportunities है. The only thing is that young people like you, I would only recommend that हम लोगों को ये नहीं सोचना है कि that now we have done our MBA, so that's the end of the world. So the game is about continuous learning. So as I speak, मैं भी बीच में कुछ कोर्स करने की कोशिश करता हूँ, because you have to upscale and upgrade yourself. आज आप मोबाइल वर्जन्स में you look at various applications. So I think there is always an upgrade. Upgrade होता रहता है version 2, version 3, version 4, so on and so forth. And it safeguards you from the threats that the ecosystem may provide. So my point is that you have to be a lifelong learner if at all you have to stay relevant in BFSI or any other domain. So technology is shaping, the entire framework, the entire thought process in terms of where all we are heading to. And I feel that these things will keep you in good stead if at all you really work towards that. तो आप लोगों को ये नहीं सोचना है कि अभी बस हो गया है, MBA करके और हम लोग आगे जॉब में आ जाएंगे. जॉब में आने के that's the first step. But then finally, continually, kind of learn things, adapt. So Charles Darwin theory will always, be relevant. Survival of fittest and struggle for existence. Only, जो लोग जो हैं the smartest one, और आप लोग सब smart ही हो. So Gen Z is very smart. That is what we discussed. It is all about youth. You will be the agents of change. तो आप लोग न केवल agents of change होंगे, बल्कि you will be the beneficiaries of change also. So you will change it. जो हमारे देश में होने वाला है 2047 जो हम लोग ने विजन दिया हुआ है, उसको आप एजेंट्स भी होंगे चेंज के, एंड यू विल बी द बेनिफिशियरीज ऑफ द चेंज आल्सो. तो एवरेज पॉपुलेशन ऑफ एवरेज एज ऑफ आई वुड से of an Indian is almost close to around 28 years, 28.7 years. So we are fairly young nation. You are the one who will rule. No need to fear. Just embrace things with confidence, and I think use common sense whenever you feel lost. So I think that is what will help us kind of sail us through these amazing times.
Great. Thanks, Manu. Thanks for setting the context. I think quite a few points that you spoke about, we will maybe try and discuss in detail and try and pull out some of the experiences from each of the other panelists. Kapil, do you have any additional skills that you're thinking when you look at Vision 2047, where BFSI should make a difference? Any skill sets that you're looking for these?
I think most of the points Manu has already covered. We are into a business of lending, I think. I have been into this industry now 18 years as well. So I think from the last 13 years we are interviewing people most of the time. I have seen during our MBA interaction that people come with a lot of knowledge that is quite, I think during our MBA program we give them a lot of knowledge. Leverage क्या है, ratios क्या है, everything क्या है. But I think उसका जो practical aspect है, when you are on the job, when you are on the ground, when you actually meet a customer who has nothing, उसका maybe the leverage are not good, but something else is good. So that's something which is, I think, which we just spoke about cognitive skills. It's the tangible, intangible. Intangible factors may be bank also lend a customer, bank also onboard a customer on so many parameters other than the balance sheet, because I believe BFSI में major contribution अगर आप देखो banking, finance sector, insurance, everything is there. But if I talk about the 30% का contribution is always about lending, which is there. मुझे लगता है हम बहुत सारे aspect को देखते हैं. We looking for subjectivity of a transaction rather than a customer overall. तो holistic approach रखनी चाहिए. बंदे को ना कभी मैंने I've seen some people from colleges, they're very headbound कि यार मैं तो यही चार चीजें देखूंगा और इसके बाद I'll make a decision. I think the way now is growing so much of, I think we spoke about AI, we spoke about robotics, we spoke about blockchain, which is coming. Why they are coming? Just to safeguard our data, safeguard the customer interest, fasten the transaction, increase the pace of the transaction. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं उसमें. But आपको थोड़ा सा अपने आप को imperative रखना पड़ेगा कि आपको जो आसपास जो हो रहा है environment में, you need to consume also, and then you can reach to that data and that scale which you are looking for. Sometimes ratios and about banking analysis and everything is important, I know from that perspective, but most of the economy, if you see the GDP growth, is come from MSME, and MSME का growth जब आता है, it is different. MSME growth is very different from a normal growth. From a MSME perspective and even from a mid-corporate perspective, from a corporate perspective, you have to see other than the financials, so much more about the customer. So while during, I think gradually now it is happening in every institution also, other than normal learning, people are coming up with a lot of things about banking and other sectors, which I think is quite prominent to have a great skill development amongst the people. I have seen that, but my only advice is, I think this is the point Manuji has covered, think beyond some structured things. Structure के beyond कुछ सोचो. Maybe this client has not this, but he has this. What is the need of this hour? Why is India growing? But budget में क्या बोला गया है इस बार? किस सेक्टर पे सबसे ज़्यादा फोकस है हमारा बजट में? कौन सा सेक्टर डायरेक्टली इम्पैक्ट होगा, कौन सा इनडायरेक्टली इम्पैक्ट होगा? Suppose we are talking about green energy, तो आप सोलर की बात कर सकते हो, आप लिथियम आयन की बात कर सकते हो, आप सोचते इन सब सेगमेंट्स में काम होने वाला है इंडिया में, तो उसके डायरेक्ट और इनडायरेक्ट जो कंज्यूमर है, डायरेक्ट और इनडायरेक्ट सप्लायर्स और बायर, हाउ दे आर गोइंग टू बेनिफिट. रियल एस्टेट की बात हो रही है, तो उससे लिंकेज सीमेंट है, सरिया है, लोहा, दीज ऑल सेक्टर्स आर गोइंग टू ग्रो. आप इंफ्रा की बात करते हो, ईपीसी की बात करते हो, ईपीसी की बात करते हो तो आपका ऑयल, आपका क्रूड, आपका बिटुमेन, आपका रोड में हम क्या क्या नई टेक्नोलॉजी लेके आ रहे हैं, आजकल सिविल में हम क्या क्या नई टेक्नोलॉजी लेके आ रहे हैं. मे बी अ शटरिंग पर्सन इज गोइंग टू गेट अ वैल्यूएबल ग्रोथ. तो वी हैव टू सी वेयर इज द गवर्नमेंट फोकस, पैसा कहाँ डलेगा गवर्नमेंट का और किससे क्या क्या सेक्टर ग्रो कर सकते हैं. इफ वी अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम दैट एनालिटिक्स बैकवर्ड और फॉरवर्ड, आई थिंक दिस इज हाउ I think we could have a better scale of operations in terms of what our learning and actual practical learning can follow.
बिल्कुल बढ़िया. I think that is required, and not just following the norms, but can you look beyond what is very obvious? I think is a need of the hour for most of the students, and I can vouch for all of the panelists here when we sit for interviews. Kids like you, be looking for what is beyond the obvious that you are stating when you are showing us the resume. What is the person behind that resume is something we always want to look at and want to evaluate. Let me come to you, Sheetal. I think Manu and Kapil also spoke about technology and how technology is changing around us. And BFSI is not immune to that change that is happening in terms of technology. A lot of new stuff is coming. So how does BFSI, therefore, the sector in general and companies like yours and ours, brace this change, and how do we prepare for something like this that is happening now? What would be our talent strategies that we should focus on?
So I think pertinent question, considering Kapil and Manu brought in that focus on how technology is bringing out that change within the BFSI sector. I think as a people and culture professional, for us, whenever technology hits the market and the industry, our first intuition is to figure out how to embrace change in everything we do. The first aspect which we look at primarily is processes. So we try and figure out how we can leverage technology to change and enhance our processes altogether.
So for example, just to probably share, employee experience is considered, at the peak of anybody or any organization's motto. So for example, if I am a part of the people and culture of an organization, the focus would always be to provide exceptional people experience, be it our stakeholders, customers, employees. To ensure we do that, we do look at involving and adapting ourselves to various engagement chatbots. So for example, we've tied up with an AI-driven chatbot to ensure that we read our customer and employees' experience real time. So that chatbot would probably pop up every day in the morning, taking your input, how are you feeling, where do you think you stand, do you think you have sufficient support, do you think the process you're working in has sufficient technological support, and we take inputs from that real time. Whatever inputs come in, that comes in to us as an input, and we ensure that goes to the relative or the respective teams altogether to ensure we drive that particular change. As we do it for the employees, we also do it for our external customers or clients. So there is a similar chatbot driven engagement which we run for our customers, and something like this really instigates what we want to do and what we should do as an organization. So I think when we talk about technology, it is not just about bringing those technological advancements on business tools, adapting to different tools, taking up what's latest in the industry and integrating it to our systems, but also integrating it on the people centricity or the people centric initiatives altogether to ensure our employees have the best of experience and tap it real time. So that I think is very, very important, is the key, integrating it at the right time.
Perfect. You touched upon a very important point of employee experience, and I think, so let me take this question to Anil. As employee experience becomes the center of whatever we do, what are the kind of skills that you're looking at in people, and how do you build that employee experience in organizations? And you can pick BFSI as a sector, but I think it is applicable in general to any industry, every organization. So, your thoughts, sir.
Thank you. Before, let me divide this question into two parts. Maybe we can deal with the skill set first, about the experience. Since the theme is India 2047, first I would like to talk about where we are heading as a BFSI, because I was going through some data, even in discussions also these data points came up. From 3 trillion to 30 trillion economy we are planning to become. So it is tenfolds in next 23 years. If you see the contribution of service sector to GDP, it is fairly, I think, close to 53 point some decimal is the contribution. Out of this 53%, if you see this banking, including retail and professional services, it is close to 23%. So what this indicates? This indicates that there is huge potential for all of us to grow. Because if economy grows, these sectors have to move. If these sectors have to move, the organizations will move, and ultimately we all will grow. Now, keeping all these changes which are going to happen in the next decade or maybe 2 decades of time, according to me, there are 3 important skills which you should keep in mind as a learner, as a student. Because see, if you compare India 20 years ago with India what it is right now, many things have been changed. You could easily see change in how we used to be in India 20 years ago and how we are right now. Even if I talk about banking and financial services, I do not know how many of you have actually witnessed. There was a time when the entire banking approach was bank-based dealings. Now, I do not remember in last 5 years, even I had visited once to the bank branch, because entire banking is happening through mobile banking. So what actually I mean to say is, the world is in flux, things are changing very fast. So if you want to start your career, the first and foremost skill which you must develop in yourself is the skill to be adaptability skill. You cannot be rigid in your approach because sometimes you might see nothing offensive, but there might be some people who will say, "यहाँ तो ऐसा ही होता है." If they don't want to challenge the status quo. So if you want to grow, if you want to be aligned with the growth of the economy, you need to develop the skill to be adaptable in the environment because things are changing on daily basis. So if you don't change, you will be out of the league. So adaptation is very important skill. Other than adaptation, what I think is you should have the skill and ability to think out of the box. Traditional processes, traditional things can only give you traditional results. If you want outstanding results, then you need to think out of the box. So don't restrict your thoughts to a particular defined processes. Think about what new I can do, what best I can do, what better I can do. That skill will help you to grow very fast along with the growth of the economy. And the third skill which you already have is your ability to learn. Keep learning because life is changing every day. I remember one of my boss, unfortunately he is no more now. He used to tell me one thing in most of the forums, not only to me but to all other employees as well. He used to say that you should ask yourself every day one question: am I relevant today? If I am not relevant today, I am outdated, I am out of the picture. These are the important skills which I think there can be a number of skills which we can talk about. The second part was experience. See, about experience, being an HR guy, I will talk about the change, the kind of expectations employees were having from the organizations maybe a decade ago, and the kind of expectations organizations were having, they all have changed. There was a time when the organizations used to talk only about the job responsibilities or the KRAs with the employees, nothing else. Nowadays, people, they don't like those organizations which only talk about job responsibilities. People want 360-degree engagement. So 360-degree engagement means what? It means if I have joined your organization, please tell me what is my future. Please tell me how will I balance my work and personal life. Please tell me what all are you going to do for my personal well-being. How will you help me to accommodate my personal responsibilities? There are so many things which falls under this purview. So as an organization, if I talk about my organization and the way we actually work is, we have something called flexible timings because there can be situations wherein people, they are not able to align with the strict office timings. We follow 10 to 6. So there might be, say, for example, some female employees, maybe want to send in their kids to school. They want a slightly different time, maybe a little late or a little early. We have flexi timing. That also helps us to align with the aspirations of our employees. Another things can be like, do you run health checkup camps? Do you help employees in understanding their career paths? Because most of the time it happens. So sorry for this. I'm sorry, I forgot the track. So let me go back to it. The experience part, I was saying that people, they want 360-degree engagements. So there are several things we keep doing. We work on how do we ensure collaboration amongst the employees. Because people, they sometimes what happens, people, they come from different departments. So what happens, instead of focusing on the organizational goals, they focus more on departmental goals. So interdepartmental competition starts, which is the beginning of downfall for an organization. Because the departments are not in competition with each other. They are or they exist to collaborate and bring better results. So we try how do we resolve employee conflicts, how do we bring them together so that they collaborate, they work well. So there can be a number of such things. We can keep working together.
Thanks a lot, Anil. I think that was very useful. Some very relevant points that you picked up. I'm here at the institute, right? Institute has called all of us to come. So let's try and bring in the institute aspect as well. So Furqan, if I can come to you on what role does, what would you think, given all skills, etc., that we're talking about, that the industry and academic collaboration can bring in? How do you think that will benefit building these skills that are required for the future, for Vision 2047 that we're all talking about?
A partnership between the industry and academia creates a synergy which is beneficial to both. I personally believe that academia-industry partnership is relevant for all. For BFSI, it is more important as compared to other sectors. And that's the only way through which the student transition can happen to the BFSI workforce. For the interest of the students, BFSI is a very complex, sector. It's highly regulated. More than 6-7 regulators, be it RBI, SEBI, IRDAI, Ministry of Finance. Then there are multiple laws through which they are regulated. Banking Regulation Act, then you have FEMA, then you have SERFSI, and so on. And then hundreds of guidelines coming almost every day for compliance purpose. Second reason why this is complicated because of the fact that it offers vast range of products and it has large workforce. And the beauty is that most of the workforce deal with more than one product. Third, there is a lot of technology intervention. Technology is there in almost all the products. That's the relevance of the technology. And they have a very complex technology infrastructure also. The other point is risk and the cyber security, which my fellow panelists have mentioned. Considering the kind of financial transactions which happen and the kind of personal data which is there with the BFSI sector, it is very important that the risk management and cyber security processes are in place, which makes the sector really very complex. Now, if we consider the skill set which is required to manage all of this, that is the complex system of BFSI, we need skills like financial acumen, we need risk management skills, we need regulatory compliance skills, cyber security, customer management, understanding your customer, communication skills, ethical conduct, very important. Now, academia cannot build all of this skill independently, and industry intervention is must to bring the practical aspects, and on the other hand, industry in itself cannot expect a trained workforce unless and until they collaborate with academia. So to answer your question, definitely industry academia collaboration can bring a lot of value into the system. It can, one, do the skill alignment. The academic programs can be structured in a way that it aligns very well with the BFSI sector requirement. Second, it gives a lot of opportunities to the students to implement what they have learned through industry internship or through industry interaction. Third, it can definitely give a lot of boost to the research which happens within academia around the BFSI sector. There are many success stories we we can see right now the way SBI has collaborated with the IIMS Bangalore, ICICI collaborated with ISB, or HDFC with NIBM and so on. The outcome has really been great. If you see in the area of leadership, data and analytics, innovation, risk management, there have been a lot of amazing outcomes which we have achieved. But yes, still I believe that there is a lot to do at a base level. You know, at a base level, when a graduate gets into a BFSI sector, that's an area I think there's a lot to be done between the industry as well as academia in terms of collaboration.
That's very interesting. Okay. Coming to Kanika, Kanika, any specific areas that you think industry and academia can do better, different, or interesting activities? Do you see that we can suggest here in the conversation?
Yeah, I hope it's fair. Yeah, indeed, there's a lot. I mean, if I just think how phenomenally we can transform the entire dynamics when it comes to industry and academia, it can just equate to something magical, to be very honest. Why? I mean, honestly speaking, this morning when I just stepped into this forum and in the off conversations that were happening amongst students, I have done my own observations now. I've heard people talking to each other, students speaking to each other, worried about the future. Why is that happening? It's happening because they need to be handheld. Of course, the institute is doing phenomenal. The leadership, the faculty members, the respected, professionals, they are doing their bit. But we, as industry leaders, need to just step in, take one step forward, get into the mode of, mentoring them. I'm being into transformations. I'm a hardcore transformation professional when it comes to banking. With the banks that I have worked globally, whether it's UBS or Barclays or Bank of New York, all of these banks, I do know the Indian context as well when it comes to banking. Transformation is a big thing. Who will help them learn this? That's when industry comes into picture. That's where people like us, my co-panelists, have very well, packaged it. I think whether it's Sheetal, whether it's Manu, everybody has, spoken their bit that it has to be, it has to be merged and amalgamated in such a manner that the user cases, the actual, how should I put it, the practical situations that are felt, that are experienced at the industry level, on the floor, in the banks, in the branches, in the insurance sector, those need to be spoken about. There has to be storytelling, not for the sake of just theoretics. It has to be practical. Therefore, what comes into picture is what we call experiential learning. And that's where I think industry has to do a lot. We need to really shake hands with the academia, put our best foot forward and showcase to our students, our future leaders rather, who are so, I know that there are students who are so passionate and hungry about growth. We should absolutely promote it. And how do we do that? We become their mentors. We tell them what's happening in the industry. What are the do's, what are the don'ts? Of course, banking is a big, huge sector when it comes to regulatory approvals and, the compliances and the audit. Those are fine. Those are all technical aspects. We spoke about the technological aspects as well, when we said AI, which is, of course, the need of the hour. But where is the emotional quotient getting into the picture? Has anybody thought about it? We speak about the domain expertise, phenomenal. We speak about AI, phenomenal. We speak about, becoming resilient, phenomenal. But where is the rest of the emotional quotient which is coming into the picture? That's what we need to teach them. And when I say teach them, not become like a teacher, but become their, partner in the journey. So I feel that, that this amalgamation can really
benefit and the 2047 vision that we see, that's how we will live into it. So the seeds need to be sown now, today, as we see 25 years from now where we will be. So the future is right in front of us, right? So,
That I agree. That I agree. I think we were talking about technology and how technology has changed a lot of things. One of the things that tech has also helped us is changing the models of employment. Right? Not everybody is now looking for full-time employment. They're looking, remote work, virtual work, moonlighting work, sunlighting work, whatever work that is coming their way. People are trying to pick it up. So, in such a scenario, Sheetal, let me come to you first. What do you think? How do organizations build the skill sets to manage this kind of all over the place kind of work? I mean, is what I call it. How do organizations prepare, and what are the skills that you think are relevant here?
So I think this is like the hot topic these days, managing your multi-generational workforce. It is not just multi-generational, it is also, like you very rightly said, multi-mode workforce. So like, for example, us as an organization, we have our employees who are working with us because by default, post-COVID, we are now a virtual first organization. So it is on people to choose what work mode they want to operate into. So on policy, now we call ourselves virtual or hybrid first, which means we empower our people to give them the call and decision to choose how and what mode they want to operate in. So there is a segment who feels that okay, work from home is the best and we'll go for our complete work from home model. There are people who say hybrid is the best, let's suit ourselves, let's suit basis the day, need, etc. So they operate hybrid. There are, however, people who feel that clients come first, let's move to the client side, working from office gives you that visibility, that should be adapted. There is a segment of people who has also chosen 100% work from anywhere. That means they are on that track, which means they're not visible in office for, let's say, 5, 6, 10 years of their employment altogether. Additionally, we also have this Gen Z workforce, which is now joining us, and also a lot of the banking financial services firms who like to operate on a contractual model. So we basically call them limited period employment, which basically means that they would come in for a, let's say, a year or a 2-year contract, work with us on their own terms and exit. There would also be people who would work on a pure internship model. So 6-month internship, 8-month internship, they like it, they continue. We like them, we'll ask them to continue. So that's the kind of model. Now, because there is so much of ambiguity in terms of how people are operating, for employers, it is obviously one of those difficult calls to manage people. So what I feel is important in this case is to empower people and establish that feeling of trust in them to ensure that they choose what suits them best. We give them options which are all backed by processes, backed by governance. However, let them choose. Let them be empowered to choose how they want to operate, provided they ensure that there are no misses on the timelines, delivery timelines and project deliverables. That is one which, if organizations can adapt to, I feel it will be simpler to manage and discipline the multi-generational workforce and the different modes that people are operating in. A lot of times, the challenge which organizations face is that they try and disciplinize everything. They will try and monitor each and every move of the employee. Now I feel it doesn't work. What works is that you empower, give them that trust, give them that ultra flexibility. However, back it up with deliverables, responsibility which lies on their shoulders. So I think that works a lot.
Thanks.
Can I add a message? I have a message for this one. See, organizations are doing great, as Sheetal mentioned, provide you the options, of work from home or hybrid working or multiple other options. And for you, it's a personal choice, which definitely is respectable. No problem at all. You have all the right to choose. But at the same time, when you're looking for a job, see the nature of job, the organization is improved. And then only decide that whether there is a possibility of a marry between your personal choice and the nature of work which is being done by that particular organization. If you are able to see and assess that, then I think that would be a good combination. Otherwise, you might get into, difficult organization, difficult not because of the fact that they are difficult organizations to work, but the fact is that the nature of the work is such that which might not align to your personal choice. For example, BFSI, if you are there, we talked about banking, we talked about lending. If you have decided to get into it, then you have to be at the field. Then you don't have a choice. Okay? If you work in, say, the organization which Sheetal represents, or in an organization in EY, like EY, there are many service lines wherein it is very important for you to be at a client location or an office. So that option to work from home does not exist practically in many cases. So please do assess at 0 point in time that how do you create that balance between your personal choice and the kind of work which the organization is offering.
Very nice. That is very useful, Furqan. Quick question, Manu, to you. I think we touched upon the various modes of employment. Now, and we also touched upon ESG, which is now the buzzword in this space. So a related concept there is the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So how do you think organizations, particularly in the BFSI space, are embracing that, and what skills do you think are required to make an organization truly inclusive, truly diverse, truly? We can start with what the benefit of it is, but more importantly, how do you manage? How do you manage to get that into organizations?
See, basically, when we are talking about large organizations, so I can talk about, case in point being our organization, which is ICICI Bank. So, we had, as everybody has told that yes, banking is a very complex kind of a industry. A lot of customers, a lot of things have to be done. There are different departments, vertical structures, so on and so forth. But the beauty is about that, there are, if you look on a hindsight, traditionally banking mein kya hota hai? You have different teams. Now, say for example, there is a team which works in a silo. They work in their own way in terms of, there are an organization within an organization, so to say. So they work with their own ethos, they work with their, largely the culture is, people are aware, but then finally, you could see that, probably things are not working in tandem and in sync. So just imagine, if at all you look at probably a cheetah who is running, just look at it in slow motion and then finally you will know. Probably you find Usain Bolt when he runs 100 meters in probably 9.53 seconds, how he starts, how his legs move, right foot, left foot, initial push, initial thrust, how he ends at the last 60-70 meters. After 20 meters, usually you find that people don't gain speed, they usually slow down. But how, being a 6'4" guy, he is able to do it. So what same tandem mein nahi jab tak hoga, tab tak chalega nahi. As an organization policy, we are very, very clear that there are few rules that we look at. We work as one organization, one team, and that is largely that's the ethics of our organization. It can vary from organization to organization. One man, one team, irrespective of department, irrespective of anything else. My ID card has my name written on it. My ID card has my, I would say, my blood group written on it, and that's about it. It doesn't mention about my name, my employer ID, and my blood group. Allergy is usually none. So these are the things that are written. So technically, I don't belong to any department. I belong to the institution called ICICI Bank. Now, when we reach out to the customer, if I go there as probably a personal loan guy, if I go there as someone, and that has been happening for years. But it took us a long time to kind of break that barrier, breaking through those, so-called silos of, or so to say, different, verticals, different departments, probably people working on their own way. The right hand doesn't know what the left is doing. The left foot doesn't know where the right foot is heading to. Mind is somewhere else. Heart, liver, kidney, all functioning, but then finally they don't know. If at all, we want to have, contribution from each and every one. So now, as of now, you look at the branch banking, if I talk about the branches that you see in flesh and blood, जो आपको branches दिखती हैं, those are the center of every activity that we do. तो अभी ऐसा नहीं है that you want asset to go to a different place. One place you get everything. So it is all about ease. It is all about your convenience. It is all about the changing mindset that when I represent, I don't represent as a department, as a product. You will get everything. So technically, what Sir told, 360 3D. तो 360 would be, I would say, a 2D frame. मैं तो कह रहा हूँ 360 3D है. अब 360 का पूरा हो गया, मतलब हिसाब किताब ऐसा हो गया है कि you will have to do everything. So ideas, it becomes very, very hard. Culturally, we have to be very, very sound. Inclusivity is a mindset game. Culture is a mindset game. Culture is not when you are, in your office 9 to 5. Culture is not that. The great organizations are because of the cultures. Culture is when we are sitting in a coffee table, और coffee table में हम जो informal discussion करते हैं अपने organization के बारे में, that is where the culture creeps in. It is never in tiger food में नहीं होता है culture. Culture होता है deep ingrained within us, which says yes sir, and then finally at the back of the mind उसके दिमाग में कुछ और चलता होता है. तो culture को करना मतलब it is like the deep cleaning है. So deep cleaning of conscience, deep cleaning of thought, deep cleaning in terms of entire ethos. And entire आपका जो पूरा DNA change होता है, and that is why it works. Inclusivity, if at all you look at one organization, one team, being fair to customer, being fair to bank, being transparent and truthful all the times, and keeping it simple. मतलब उसे complex नहीं करना है हमारे को उठा के कि आप ये कर लीजिए. जितना आप लोग करेंगे ना, वो अंग्रेजी में कहावत है, मतलब the most difficult thing, simple is difficult and difficult simple. iPhone में एक बटन आया जब शुरू में 2007 में लॉन्च हुआ तो एक बटन था. उस समय सैमसंग वगैरह वगैरह दूसरी कंपनियां जो थी उनके 3 बटन होते थे मोबाइल से. उन्होंने एक चीज को बनाया सिंपल, एक बटन पर. अब तो बटन ही नहीं है. So सबसे पहले क्या होगा, कोई भी चीज है क्वेश्चन पूछो एंड द आंसर कम्स इमीडिएटली एंड इट इज अ वेरी इजी वन, क्योंकि वी मेक अ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स आंसर बिकॉज वी हैव नॉट डन डीप डाइव नहीं करी है. सिंपल करने में ही इफेक्ट है. आज जितने भी आप सक्सेसफुल प्रोडक्ट्स देख लीजिए, सक्सेसफुल सर्विसेज देख लीजिए, द गेम इज अबाउट कीपिंग इट सिंपल, मेकिंग इट सो एक्सेसिबल कि आदमी को लगता है कि मैं ऐसे कर सकता हूँ. गेम वही है. वी अडैप्ट ओनली दैट थिंग जिसको हमें आदत दिलाती है. व्हाट्सएप में फीचर्स हैं, ऐड करते रहते हैं, अब एडिट भी आ गया है, सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ, हम उसे करते रहते हैं बिकॉज हमें ईज हो गया है उसका. दैट इज व्हाट इट इज. द मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स यू मेक, द मोर डिफिकल्ट इट विल काइंड ऑफ टेक ऑफ. So मेरा मतलब है कि these things have to be thought of rather than और deeply ingrained हम लोग को करना पड़ेगा. If at all we really want large organizations, or large organizations, successful organizations are the ones which are they don't care about department, they don't care about anything else. They work in tandem, in sync towards a very very common objective. And entire objective जो है वो अपना नहीं है कि अपना भला करें. It is about taking care of the customer. Customer के पास अगर हम भला कर देंगे अपना भला हो ही जाएगा. That is what it is. इसीलिए आप देखोगे नए ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जो हैं कितनी जबरदस्त स्थिति से आ रहे हैं. If you look at last 25 organizations in the world, आपको पिछले 20 सालों में मिल जाएंगे. फेसबुक क्या 2004, गूगल आई वुड से 1998, है ना, इंस्टा, आप जितने भी नई कंपनियां हैं, एनवीडिया, आप देख लीजिए किस तरह से मार्केट कैप बढ़ रहा है. माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एंड गूगल हैड बीन 1975 से है, बट यू लुक एट 3 ट्रिलियन माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ने क्रॉस किया मार्केट कैप. But look at Nvidia, it is going very very fast. It is larger than Google in terms of market cap now. तो नए ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस कब आगे निकल जाएंगे, कैसे निकल जाएंगे, largely depends on culture and technology is playing a very very important role. तो naturally हम लोगों को दोनों चीजें करनी पड़ेंगी. EQ बोला मैंने, very important. तो हमारे को it will be a hybrid of say machine and humans. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि AI के आने से हमारी नौकरियां खत्म हो जाएंगी. कंप्यूटर के आने से नौकरी खत्म नहीं हुई थी 1987 में, बड़ी थी बल्कि. And IT sector जो है is one of the strong forces in terms of driving our economy. So anything it comes तो ऐसा नहीं है वो खत्म करने के लिए आती है. So that will be very very productive. It is just that we have to embrace it with an open heart. That is what.
You wanted to add something.
Is it? I was was just wanting to add to what Manu said when he said culture. It's like the underlining theme, to be very honest. The reason is, I don't know how many of you heard this. Culture eats strategy in breakfast. It's indeed very true. I've practically observed it, I've practically experienced it. In transformation, in the role that I've been playing, strategy is quite a basic, hardcore component. We have to kind of, strategize things in order for us to transform the organizations, the departments, etc., etc. Now, it indeed failed at certain instances just because the organizational culture was corrupt. And when I say corrupt, it doesn't mean corrupt in the real sense or the literal sense. When I say corrupt, it indeed means that there wasn't any, diversity, inclusivity. The inclusion part was missing. He very nicely pointed out, especially from an Indian context. It is very, very relevant. There are teams which will be working in silos. The other part of the department doesn't even know. And honestly speaking, not just from an Indian context, even in the global context, I have noticed this. There was one of, I'll take an example from my, one of the organizations which I'll not name. But one part of the world, the team has spent like significant, massive amount of dollars on a technological platform which is already procured. It is sitting in-house. And you won't imagine the rest of the world of the same organization, because it's a worldwide organization. The other regions, let's say the Asia-Pac regions and the India regions, they are not aware and they are not leveraging it. Now what they are doing is, as part of the transformation that we were trying to bring in, they came to me, the stakeholders came to me, the business heads came to me and said, oh, let's just procure a new technological platform. I have an idea, let's just do a proof of concept for this. Let's just do a proof of concept for B, C, D. I said, hold on. When I did a technological landscaping together with the team, we found that this is already sitting in-house. Has anybody told them this is already there? There's a significant amount of money spent already. So what is lacking? The inclusion part. Now, obviously this goes without saying that there's a diversity element as well, and I don't want to get into the literal gender bias here, but again, it is coming from one of the instances. An organization, who is a true believer in, spending and investing a lot of money in employee-centric interventions and making sure that their employees get upskilled, they're true believers of that. Now, and so is their senior management and executive management. I was a part of the Women Council out there, and what we did was, and indeed they had very nice diversity targets as well. But we, as the Global Women Council, we found out that when we did a comparative study globally, we found that there is something called gender sensitization, which is probably the need of the hour. And with all due respect to the members sitting here, I'm just saying that this was indeed the need of the hour. This is back, I think we're talking about 6 years ago or so, 6 to 7 years ago. So we said this is the need of the hour, and we should just incorporate this, and we should have it, at the top level first. So let's just have our executives, the C-levels, undergo this training first, and we will percolate it down to the others later. Because that's how it is, right? Because top-down approach is not always from the decision-making perspective. It is also how you demonstrate yourself and, what is the culture part. How are you creating that culture? Because you need to become, as a leader, you need to showcase yourself as a role model. So we went ahead and we, obviously told them that you need to undergo this. And one of the expats, who apparently was one of my bosses, he said, well, I'm already, a part of the women's network. I'm the champion, and I'm encouraging women networks already. Why am I supposed to undergo this? And one of my colleagues, who was kind of senior to me, she said, that's exactly why you need to undergo. Because you're not realizing that there is a component of, inclusivity which is still missing. You need to just, experience this first in that particular intervention and come out and tell us what have you learned. And that's exactly what he came back and said, I really wish I shouldn't have said that, because, these things seem very small at the beginning, but then this is what is building up to that cultural aspect, which is the umbrella, the entire umbrella of the organization's approach. So I just wanted to, add upon Manu, I think
No.
he's very well summarized.
Thanks. I think we're running out of time, everyone's eagerly waiting for us to close. I think it's an excellent conversation that we bring out points. I don't want to summarize beyond each of your own points, so I would leave it at that. But say thank you so much for being enlightening the entire audience here. Thank you so much. Pleasure being here. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Ramakrishna, for moderating the session. Thank you all the panelists for providing us valuable insights. We've learned a lot from this session. I now request Professor Dr. Devendra Narak to felicitate the guests. First of all, Mr. Manu Shah. Huge round of applause, please. Mr. Anil Sahni. Mr. Furqan Warsi. Mr. Kapil Bohra. You should be giving them a huge round of applause for the students. It gives us their valuable insights. Mr. Ramakrishna, the moderator of the session. Huge round of applause, please. Ms. Sheetal. And Ms. Kanika.